Stop scrolling. Right now. Because you're about to hear two words that have been controlling your life from the shadows. I am. They sound harmless, but they're not just a phrase, they're programming. A line of code that speaks directly to the subconscious and commands the universe to respond. The truth. You've been using them against yourself. Every day. Without even knowing it. You think you're reporting reality, but you're actually installing it. The subconscious mind doesn't filter. It doesn't debutter. It simply accepts. It listens. It obeys. It executes. Your I am is the root command in your mental operating system. Whatever follows it becomes a self-fulfilling loop, running silently in the background, shaping how you think, how you feel, and how you live. Neuroscience calls this subconscious automation. It governs up to 95% of your daily behavior, not your willpower, not your logic, your programming. And I am is how you write that code. It's not just affirmation, it's instruction, it's alignment. The longer you let your emotions write those commands, the more deeply you reinforce the version of yourself you no longer want to be. But what if you could flip the code? What if you used I am as a precision tool to rewire your identity, your emotions, and your future? What if, instead of reacting with, I am overwhelmed, you chose, I am centered, I am clear? That's not fantasy. That's neural reinforcement. And it's one of the most powerful shifts a human being can make. But no one teaches us this. Not in school. Not in life. So we stay stuck, repeating old patterns, thinking we're broken, when in fact, we've just been running the wrong script. So now I ask you, are you ready to reclaim your programming? Because if you think the life you're living was given to you by the world, you're wrong. You're living the life your mind assumed into being. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to rewrite the code with two words that shape everything. The law of assumption and the neuroscience of belief. Let's pull back the curtain on the law that's been quietly shaping your life every moment, every choice, every experience without your permission or awareness. It's called the law of assumption. Neville Goddard taught it decades ago. Today, neuroscience finally confirms what he always knew. Whatever you assume to be true about yourself, your world, and your possibilities will eventually become your reality. This law doesn't care if you believe it. It just executes. It simply operates. If you assume you're always behind, always struggling, always unseen, your subconscious takes that as instruction. It rewires your focus, your emotions, your body language, and your decisions to match that internal image. And you live it, over and over. But if you assume you're loved, powerful, and divinely guided, something strange begins to happen. Reality starts reorganizing around that idea. Not overnight, but inevitably. Assumptions are not passive ideas. They're active frequencies broadcasted silently by your mind, received faithfully by your environment. They are not guesses. They are commands. Still think this is just metaphysical fluff. Let's talk neuroscience. Your brain doesn't show you truth. It shows you proof of what you already believe. Your reticular activating system, RAS, filters reality to confirm your beliefs. It's not showing you truth, it's showing you filtered evidence. That's the job of the reticular activating system, a tiny network of neurons in your brainstem that acts like a filter for reality. Out of the billions of bits of information around you every second, the RAS filters what you see, hear, notice, and remember based on your dominant beliefs. In other words, if you assume you're invisible, your brain will block out anything that contradicts that. Even praise, even opportunity, even love. That's why people who believe they're unlucky seem to find misfortune everywhere. It's not fate, it's filtering. The brain's built-in confirmation bias makes sure of it. It seeks out evidence to prove what you already believe, and it ignores what doesn't fit, which means you're not seeing the truth. You're seeing a loop. That loop is built from assumptions small, yet consistent statements like, I'm always anxious, I never finish anything, things don't work out for me. These aren't just thoughts, they're a lens. Imagine your assumptions as a pair of tinted glasses fused to your mind since childhood. You don't remember putting them on, but they color everything you see. If those glasses are scratched with fear, guilt, or failure, the world will reflect that distortion back to you again and again until it feels like reality. But it's not reality. It's perception. And here's the most powerful truth. You can change the lens. You can consciously choose new assumptions. You can override the loop. And when you do, the world doesn't change instantly, but the way you interpret it does. And that begins the change. Think of your assumption as the GPS input for your life's direction. Most people are driving blind, confused why they keep arriving at the same dead end, never realizing the coordinates were self-programmed. When you assume failure, your mind filters for it. When you assume opportunity, your mind filters for that too. That's why people who expect the worst often get it. But those who assume success, they tend to land on their feet even when they fall. It's not luck. It's alignment. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you assume to be true. And assumption isn't about fake positivity. It's about embodied certainty. It means moving through your day, not hoping, but knowing. Not pretending, but declaring. It's not saying, I wish I was confident. It's saying, I am confident. And showing up as if that were already the case. That one shift from reacting to choosing, from observing to assuming, is what separates people who drift from those who create. Now you understand. Your outer life is simply the mirror of your inner assumptions. You don't live according to facts. You live according to what you've repeated silently in your mind long enough, often enough, emotionally enough until your subconscious accepted it as truth. So, if you want to change your world, don't start with your circumstances. Start with your assumptions. You don't live by truth. You live by repetition. And it's time to decide, what have you been repeating long enough to mistake it for who you are? The law of assumption is not just a theory. It's not an idea for your journal. It's a tool, and when applied consistently, it transforms lives. Not someday, not eventually, but now. Let me introduce you to David. Just a year ago, David was stuck, overwhelmed by debt, paralyzed by self-doubt, and trapped in a business that was barely surviving. He wasn't just facing external failure, He was repeating a deeper inner belief: I am not cut out for success. That became his baseline identity. And as you've learned, the subconscious always follows the script. Every time he said, I am broke, I am behind, I am exhausted, his brain, his nervous system, his decisions, all aligned with that reality. But then, something shifted. David decided to test the law of assumption, not as a motivational phrase, but as a new internal operating system. Each night, instead of rehearsing problems, he rehearsed a new self-image. He closed his eyes and imagined himself already successful. He saw the office, felt the handshake, heard the words, "You've done it." But more importantly, he believed it. He didn't wait for his circumstances to change. He changed first in identity, in tone, in posture, in language. Within 3 months, he landed his biggest client to date. He paid off his debt, and he finally felt what he'd been chasing for years. Alignment, not magic, not chance. Identity shift. And David's story isn't rare. Here's another Maria. For years, Maria worked in a corporate role where her talents were overlooked. Her problem wasn't skill, it was subconscious invisibility. But the real prison wasn't her job. It was the silent belief looping beneath it all: I am invisible. And just like David, her subconscious got the message. It filtered opportunities out. It kept her quiet in meetings. It made her shrink even when she was the most qualified person in the room. Until she chose a new assumption, Maria began a simple daily ritual. Each morning before work, she repeated, I am seen. I am valuable. I am ready to lead. She didn't just say it, she embodied it. She walked taller, spoke with clarity, took initiative. At first, no one noticed, but after a few weeks, things shifted. A project lead resigned, and Maria was offered the position, not because she begged, but because she'd already become that version of herself, internally. You see, this is how it works. Your emotions reinforce your identity. Your identity filters your awareness. And your awareness shapes the choices that build your results. Emotion, perception, outcome. When you feel unworthy, you see rejection even where there's none. You hold back. You play small. You unconsciously reinforce the identity you're trying to escape. But when you feel confident, even before there's proof, your mind starts scanning reality differently. You notice the open doors. You speak up. You show up like someone who already is. It's not wishful thinking. It's neural conditioning. That's the science behind belief. What you repeat, with emotion, becomes a dominant pathway in the brain. And the more you walk that path, the more real it becomes. David rewired his brain from I am not enough to I am thriving. Maria rewrote her narrative from I am invisible to I am a leader. And neither of them waited for external proof. They became the proof. Neither waited for permission. They rewrote the script, starting with I am. You don't need to wait for circumstances to change. You don't need permission from the world. What you need is a new internal identity, one that aligns with the life you've been trying to manifest. Because when you change your I am, you change the entire direction of your life. You don't need luck. You need a new identity. And identity begins with 2 words: Let's simplify something that most people overcomplicate. Your mind is a 3D printer, and every thought you think is a design file. Every assumption, every mental image, every belief. They're blueprints. Not metaphorically, literally. What you repeatedly think, your subconscious accepts as a construction order, and just like a 3D printer doesn't judge the file, it just prints your subconscious, doesn't question your thoughts. It executes them. The problem: most people don't realize they're uploading corrupted files every single day. I'm not ready. I'm not creative. I'm not lovable. Those are blueprints. And the subconscious prints accordingly: hesitation, blocked ideas, unfulfilling relationships. If you want to change your results, you have to change the design file. The printer always obeys, but the blueprint, that's in your hands. And here's the critical truth: your mental files are uploaded constantly, especially in the first few minutes of your day. That moment when you wake up, before your phone, before the emails, before the world rushes in, that's your backdoor access to the operating system. Your brain is moving from theta to alpha waves, still soft, still impressionable. Whatever you feed it in that state goes straight to the subconscious. So ask yourself, what files are you uploading every morning? Are you mentally rehearsing stress? Are you scanning for problems before the day has even begun? If so, your subconscious will print exactly that. But when you wake up and declare, "I am aligned, I am focused, I am already the person I've been becoming," you're feeding your mind a high-quality file, one that your system can build from. This is more than positive thinking. This is intentional design. Let me give you a simple practice. Every morning, take 2 minutes, just 2. Close your eyes and visualize your desired self as already done. Don't picture the process. Picture the outcome. What does that version of you look like? How do they move? What decisions do they make without hesitation? Now, write a single sentence that captures that version of you. That's your new design file. And here's the secret: you repeat it all day long, on your commute, before meetings, in the shower. Every repetition strengthens the print. Every repetition tells your subconscious, "This is who I am now. Build from here." Because the printer doesn't care if the file is old or new. It just follows instructions. And the clearer the instruction, the faster it prints. This is why so many people stay stuck. They're unconsciously uploading outdated designs. Designs based on fear, scarcity, or past versions of themselves. But once you become aware, once you claim the role of designer, not just user, the entire system changes. You're no longer reacting to your past. You're printing your future on purpose. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Every design, no matter how perfect, needs fuel to bring it to life. Blueprints don't build themselves. They need energy. And in your system, that energy is not time, it's not effort, it's emotion. You've learned that thoughts are blueprints, that your subconscious is a 3D printer. But here's what most people never understand. A blueprint alone doesn't build anything. It needs energy. It needs power. And in your system, that power is emotion. Emotion is the activation switch. Without it, your words have no voltage. Without feeling, Your IAMs become wallpaper visible, but powerless. This is why so many people say, "I've tried affirmations," but they don't work. They speak, but their nervous system stays silent. And when the body doesn't feel it, the world won't either. Now listen carefully. This part is everything. Your subconscious doesn't respond to language. It responds to emotionally charged frequency, tone, rhythm, repetition, energy. That's the true language of identity. Napoleon Hill called emotion the eternal elixir, the force that gives life, power, and motion to the impulse of thought. Without it, belief is static, but with it, belief becomes magnetic. Think of your words as seeds. Emotion is the water. Without water, nothing grows. But with it, a drop of emotional voltage can rewire decades of silence. So how do you generate real emotion around something you haven't yet experienced? You rehearse it. You create emotional alignment with the future version of you before it arrives. And that's where we begin to step into real transformation. Let's talk about anchoring, a technique from NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, that allows you to link powerful emotions to a physical action. Here's how it works. Choose a phrase, something simple, direct, charged. I am confident. I am rising. I am already there. Now, stand tall. Take a deep breath. Recall a moment in your life where you felt unstoppable, a time when you knew who you were. Feel that energy in your body. Amplify it. Now, while holding that emotional state, gently press your thumb and middle finger together. Say the phrase out loud. Repeat it again and again. You're building a neurological shortcut, a pathway that links a physical gesture to an emotional state. With practice, that gesture will trigger the feeling on demand. But we're not stopping there. Let's amplify the effect with a mirror ritual. Every morning, look yourself in the eye. No distractions, no filters, just you and your truth. Say your I am statements with presence, with tone, with breath. I am powerful. I am already becoming everything I was meant to be. I am the one who decides. Don't whisper. Declarate. Let your nervous system feel the weight of your own voice. Now, layer in music. Why? Because sound bypasses logic and speaks directly to your body. Choose a song that makes you feel elevated, grounded, unstoppable. Play it during your ritual. Let it move through you. Let it sync with your words. Let it raise your frequency until your body believes it's real. Then, add visuals. Close your eyes. Picture yourself in the reality you want. See the room. Hear the sounds. Feel the textures. Smell the air. You're not imagining the process. You're installing the outcome. This is no longer just repetition. This is embodiment. It's not about saying it once and hoping. It's about saying it until your nervous system has no choice but to follow. Because here's the truth. Every time you say, I am with full emotional force, you're burning that identity into the subconscious. You're sending a command, not just to your brain, but to every cell in your body. And the body responds. Your posture shifts. Your energy shifts. Your decisions shift. And eventually, so does your life. You're not just thinking new thoughts. You're broadcasting a new frequency, one that magnetizes people, patterns, and opportunities to match. So yes, emotion is fuel, but it's also direction. And now it leads to one vital question. What frequency are you transmitting right now? Because that's what your future is built on. And in the next section, we'll show you exactly how that signal works at the deepest energetic level. Every thought you think, every emotion you hold, every belief you repeat silently inside your mind, they all emit something, a frequency. And that frequency doesn't just influence your mood, it programs your entire experience. You are not a static being. You are energy in motion, a transmitter, broadcasting vibrational data to the field around you, every second of every day. This isn't spiritual poetry. It's physics. Let me explain. Quantum physics shows us that everything in the universe, at its core, is not matter, but energy. And that energy is not still. It vibrates. It oscillates. It sends signals. Even you. The most accurate way to describe you is not as a solid object, but as a wave of probabilities, vibrating at specific frequencies. You're not a personality, you're a frequency in motion, which means what you broadcast determines what you tune into. Just like a radio. If you're broadcasting fear, shame, guilt, low frequencies, then the world reflects that back through situations, people, and outcomes that match that level. Not because you're being punished, but because you're in resonance. Likewise, when you hold frequencies like gratitude, love, confidence, peace, the external world begins to shift in response. Not always instantly, but reliably, because the universe isn't responding to your words. It's responding to your energy signature. This is why people who just seem lucky aren't always the smartest or most prepared. They're simply aligned vibrationally with what they want. They walk into a room expecting good news. They act as if success is inevitable, and their field reflects that assumption. Now here's the part most people miss. You can raise your frequency deliberately, and it starts the moment you wake up. Let me give you a simple practice. It's called the frequency reset. The first 5 minutes of your morning are some of the most energetically powerful. Your brain is still in a suggestible state. Your nervous system hasn't yet been hijacked by noise, and your field is wide open. Instead of reaching for your phone, sit still, place your hand over your chest, and ask yourself one question. What do I want to broadcast today? Not what do I want to do. What do I want to transmit? Pick a word, a frequency, peace, strength, focus, joy. Then breathe it in, hold it, let it expand in your chest. And with your exhale, imagine it radiating from your body. This is not imagination. This is energetic calibration. You are training your system, your mind, your breath, your field to set the tone instead of react to it. And when you do this consistently, your outer world begins to respond. People feel you differently. Ideas arrive without warning. You make different choices because you're operating from a new signal. You don't have to fix everything in your life. You just have to change the channel. But there's a catch. Even the strongest broadcast can be drowned out by static in your life. shows up as mental noise, old programming, subconscious beliefs you didn't choose, but still run. That's why sometimes you try to feel abundant, but that old voice whispers, "You're not there yet." That's static, and if you don't clear it, it will override the new frequency. So how do we clean it? We'll talk about that in the next section. But for now, I want you to remember this. Your energy is more honest than your words. You can't fake frequency, but you can reset it. You are a living broadcast tower, and your identity, the I Am You project, sets the dial. So ask yourself, right now, what frequency are you sending into the world? Because whatever it is, that's what's tuning in. You want to change what's showing up. Start by changing what's going out. But to truly broadcast clearly, you'll need to deal with the hidden interference. And that interference comes from subconscious programs you don't even know you're still running. Let's uncover those next. You've learned how to broadcast your frequency, how to calibrate your energy. But what if something deeper is still interfering? What if, despite your clarity, your rituals, your I am statements, you still feel blocked? That's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're still running old code. Most of the limitations you face today aren't yours. They were installed, inherited from family, imprinted by culture, downloaded unconsciously from childhood. They're not beliefs you chose, they're beliefs you absorbed. Psychologists call this intergenerational programming. It's the invisible script that shapes how you view money, love, power, success, and even yourself. Maybe you grew up hearing, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "Don't be too loud, don't be too much," or "You have to struggle to earn your worth." Those phrases didn't end when you left home. They became mental background noise, still looping beneath your surface. And as we've already explored, the subconscious doesn't care where a belief came from. It just follows the script. And if that script is outdated, fear-based, or incomplete, your reality will reflect that distortion. So what do? We rewrite the code, but not just intellectually, emotionally. Let me show you a tool that works at the root level. It's called the reality rewrite technique. Here's how it works. Step 1. Identify a belief that keeps showing up, especially one that creates resistance. For example, "I'm not smart enough." "I'm always overlooked." "I'm too old to start over." Now, trace that belief back to a specific moment in your past. Not a general idea, a scene. When was the first time you felt that? Maybe it was in a classroom, a conversation with a parent, a moment of failure that branded itself into your nervous system. Step 2. Close your eyes. Bring that memory forward fully. See what you saw. Hear what you heard. Feel what you felt. This part matters because your subconscious doesn't distinguish between memory and imagination. If it feels real, it becomes real to your internal world. Step 3. Now change the script. Step into that same memory, but this time, you are not the version of you who felt small, ashamed, or rejected. You are the version of you who knows your worth, who speaks clearly, who stands grounded, who responds with confidence and self-respect. Rehearse the moment again, scene by scene, as if you were already who you needed to be. Let your nervous system feel the difference. This is more than visualization. This is a neurological override. You're not erasing your past. You're reorganizing your relationship with it. And with enough emotional reinforcement, that new version becomes your reference point. Here's why it works. Every emotionally charged experience creates a neural pathway. The more you revisit that pathway, the more dominant it becomes. But when you create a new emotional imprint, your brain begins to reprioritize what it uses as truth. You're not just changing your thoughts. You're changing your inner evidence. Let me give you a real-world example. Maria, who we met earlier, used this exact method. She carried a deep belief. I'm invisible. I don't matter. And she traced it back to a childhood memory being ignored during a family event when she shared an idea. That moment became a silent script, one that replayed for decades in meetings, in relationships, in self-talk. But with guidance, she re-entered that memory. And in her new version, she saw herself speak boldly. She imagined the room going silent, people turning, listening, applauding. She practiced this scene every night. Within weeks, her posture changed, her tone shifted, and her outer world adjusted accordingly. She got promoted, not because the world suddenly valued her, but because she did. That's the power of inner revision. Now, here's the key takeaway. Inherited beliefs only survive if they go unquestioned. But once you bring them to light, once you challenge their authority, they lose their grip. Ask yourself, whose voice is still speaking in your head? Whose definition of success, love, or worth are you unconsciously obeying? Because until you update those definitions, your subconscious will keep running the legacy code, no matter how evolved your conscious intentions are. You've now rewritten the belief. You've revised the memory. You've begun to install a new identity, which means you're ready. You've cleared the code. Now it's time to run the update. Let's step into the future and choose the version of reality that already matches who you've become. You've rewritten the code. You've cleared the static. Now it's time to choose your timeline. Because here's what the most advanced minds in quantum physics and consciousness agree on. There is no single reality. There are infinite versions of you, each living out a different life, based on a different set of beliefs, choices, and identities. And they all exist simultaneously. This is the multiverse, not science fiction science, not metaphor mechanics. Every decision you make, every thought you repeat, every identity you accept tunes you to a different version of your own life. One where you're thriving, one where you're lost, one where everything aligns, one where nothing does. And the real question is never will I succeed. The real question is, which version of me am I aligning with right now? Because each timeline isn't something you wait for. It's something you step into by choice, by frequency, by identity. Let's make this concrete. You are standing in a corridor of infinite doors. Behind each door is a version of you. One is successful. One is still stuck. One is confident. One is afraid. They're all real, but only one becomes your lived experience, the one you enter. This brings us to a practice I call the quantum door. Here's how it works. Each morning, close your eyes. Visualize a door in front of you. On the other side of that door is the version of you who has already arrived. They don't need to hope, hustle, or figure it out. They're already doing it. They've already become it. Now, pause. Ask yourself, what does this version of me feel like? How do they speak? Move. Decide. What do they no longer tolerate? When you feel it, clearly step through. Mentally, physically, energetically. And as you open that door, you are not imagining, you are aligning. You're collapsing the timeline between who you were and who you already are. And here's where the process becomes powerful. You back that identity with action, because energy without embodiment is just a fantasy. You need structure. You need repetition with intention. So let me introduce you to a real-world tool. The 30-day quantum habit alignment. Pick one area of your life you're ready to transform. Not all of it. Just one. Your income, your health, your confidence, your creativity. Now, ask, what would the 2.0 version of me do differently, consistently? Would they show up on time, speak more boldly, invest in themselves without hesitation, wake up with intention? Pick one small, tangible action that reflects that identity. Then, do it every day. For 30 days, no exceptions, no negotiation. Each action becomes a breadcrumb trail, connecting your current self to the timeline of your desired self. And here's the paradox. At first, it may feel fake. You'll feel the gap. That's normal. But repetition rewires reality, and before long, the behavior isn't something you're pretending, it's who you are. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Jason was a struggling artist, talented, but paralyzed by imposter syndrome. Every day, he told himself, "I'm not ready. I'm not legit. I'm not like them." But when he discovered the idea of timeline alignment, everything changed. Instead of waiting to feel confident, he started behaving like the successful artist he wanted to be. He dressed like it. He created like it. He reached out to galleries as if the answer was already yes. And within months, it was. He got his first major exhibit. His income doubled. His identity shifted because he stopped waiting for permission and started behaving like the version of himself that already existed. This is what quantum manifestation truly means. Collapse time. Stop hoping and start acting like it's already done. The universe doesn't reward potential. It mirrors your pattern. And your pattern is shaped by the decisions you make now consistently, repeatedly, unapologetically. You've felt the future. You've imagined it. You've taken the first steps toward it. Now it's time to declare it. Because you're not becoming someone new. You're stepping into the version of you who was always there, just waiting for you to walk through the door. And in the next chapter, we'll complete that transition by anchoring your new identity in the most powerful command there is. You've visualized it. You've felt it. You've taken aligned action. But there's one final step that locks it all into place. Declaration. Because transformation is not complete until it's declared. I am isn't just a statement. It's a ritual of identity, a daily decision to no longer be who you were, and to begin embodying who you're here to become. So here's your invitation. Drop your declaration in the comments. right now. I am powerful. I am aligned. I am already the version of me I used to chase. Declare it not for vanity, but for ownership. Because the moment you speak it, you claim it. And the universe takes note, but don't stop there. Let me give you a practice that will wire this into your nervous system. A ritual I call the daily I Am Reset. It takes just 5 minutes, but done consistently, it becomes the foundation of a whole new life. Step 1. Breath. Upon waking, before the world enters, pause. Place your hand on your chest. Take 3 slow, conscious breaths. Inhale, presence. Exhale, noise. Step 2. Declare. Speak 3. I am statements that align with your future identity. Not hopes, not dreams. Certainties. I am grounded. I am unshakable. I am a magnet for aligned opportunity. Say them out loud. Feel them in your spine. Own them with your tone. Step 3. Act. Do one small action that reflects that identity. It can be as simple as making your bed like a leader, drinking your water like someone who values their body, writing one bold email like the version of you who no longer hesitates. This is how you anchor frequency into form. You're not just repeating affirmations, you're building a reality architecture brick by brick. And you don't have to do it alone. Join us. We are the I Am Architects, a community of creators, thinkers, and awakeners who don't just react to life, we recode it. This is more than a video, it's a movement, and you've already begun. So, subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop your boldest I am in the comments below. You are no longer who you've been. You are what you say next. And I am is the pen that rewrites destiny.